Coffee Talk on HVS-TV is sponsored by Blazing Bagels.
So welcome everyone. So I'd like to introduce all the counselors here and let you know how we serve the students in the building. So each of our counselors, we have a caseload of students, so we're responsible for tracking their academic progress and checking in with them periodically to provide a number of services for them. So we have Mrs. Burton on the end. She is the counselor for students with the last name A through E. We have Mrs. Alfano, who is the counselor for students F through LE. And then we have myself, Mr. Doherty. I'm the counselor for students last names LI through R. And then we have Mrs. Rushton, who is the counselor for students S through Z. So we each maintain a caseload of students, and we also perform a number of other services in the building for your students. One of our major roles is being communicators in the building. So we help facilitate communication between you, your students, your teachers, other staff members in the building, and we look to address a number of different needs that students have throughout their time in high school. So we address academic concerns, we look at their career and college goals, and then we also support students with their personal and their social development throughout their time in high school. We do that in a number of ways. If you want to get an idea of a lot of the services that we offer, I would encourage you to go to our counseling office website. If you go to www.hvs.org/LHS, we have a counseling website, and we have information on there ranging from parent involvement, student involvement, information on scheduling and picking your courses for the following year, information on AP courses, financial aid, scholarships, all sorts of information. If you have a question about something in the high school, that's usually a good place to start looking. And then if you still can't find the information or you want to know who to contact at the building, reach out to one of us, your student's counselor, and we can help you find the information you need. Like I said, we're great communicators, so our job isn't always to solve your problem, but it's usually we can help you find the right person in the building to get connected to. One thing that I do want to emphasize tonight, you picked up a flyer on your way in, or if you didn't pick it up yet, on the table outside the CPA. We have a flyer for our Be Tech Savvy for Your Teens Tech Safety Parent Night coming up in March. And this is just one example of some things that the counselors look to promote in the district. So this is a parent night being put on by all of the Huron Valley counselors. And we, working with students in the building, our high school, much like the other schools in the district and schools throughout the state and throughout the country, there are always issues that come up, and wanting to support students and help them stay safe is always a priority for us. And one area that I'm sure you guys are all aware of is students and their online behavior, and making sure that they know, just like in the regular face-to-face world, how you interact with people appropriately, making sure you understand what are the consequences of your actions and how do you stay safe, and your role in supporting them and staying safe. So we have that coming up. We hope you'll attend it. It's going to be right here in this same room in March, and we're going to have a guest speaker. All of her information is on the flyer, and we have a website that you can go to if you need to register for childcare for that evening. We want you to come out and get that information. Us counselors, we are going to be available during the expo activities. We're going to be in a couple of the rooms over down by the cafeteria. So if you have any questions about starting in high school for your student, or you have questions about the courses they selected for next year, please stop by, introduce yourselves. If your student came too, introduce them to us. We got to meet them a couple weeks ago in their middle school, and we'd love to get to meet you tonight. Also with us tonight is Deb Spur. She's our teacher consultant. So and she's standing in the back right there. If you have a student who who receives special services in the middle school, and we'll be receiving them in the high school, she's going to be in with us as well during the expo activities to answer any questions that you have. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Rushton.
Okay, first of all, there are some seats down here in the front. If you want to come down, we'd welcome having you. I am specifically going to address you parents tonight because I have a suspicion, and I did take a poll when I was in the middle school. I asked the students, how many of your parents are more nervous than you are? And many of them raised their hands. And I know that that's true, and that's totally appropriate. So I'm here to put your mind at ease and give you some tasks, because there's nothing better to settle anxiety than to give you some good jobs. So I'm going to give you some tips on things that you can do to help your student be successful in 9th grade. So when I thought about this task that I had, I work with 9th graders every day. I work with 9th graders year after year. I worked with middle schoolers for 17 years. So I thought I might need some information that's a little bit more fresh than that which I have, because I've done this for so long. So I turned to one of the parents that I've worked with a lot in the last few months, who's a parent of a 9th grader. And I said, I want to give the best information I can to these parents I'm speaking to on Thursday. What advice do you have, or what things do you wish you knew coming in with your student as a freshman? And he was kind enough to write me back a very nice email and gave me a lot of details and a lot of good advice. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of share with you what he said to me. And this, he said, is in no particular order, but he did start with, attitude is everything. Students need to feel connected to their school community. Engaging in some kind of extracurricular activity is very helpful in this regard. And in fact, you may have noticed on their course selection sheets that we put down what are the extracurricular things you are going to be a part of next year, because we wanted that to be looked at as sort of a requirement. This is something that is going to engage your child in the whole school experience, help them be successful, help them be organized, and help them enjoy. So please encourage your student to sign up or look into at least one athletic or club. Number 2, organization is key. Middle school did a little to prepare our students for high school life, but in some ways there was still a lot of hand-holding, and that's appropriate. Now in high school, students and parents need to be very organized and on top of calendars, assignments, etc. I would suggest that a weekly meeting can be a very great communication tool that allows you to stay in the loop without smothering your child. So this is where you want to be handing off some of the responsibility. So let's say on a Sunday evening, you might say, let's gather around the calendar. You get one major family calendar going. Everyone bring their own planner and their own calendar, and let's share activities and find out what's going on. What practice or games are scheduled? Are there rides needed? What tests or projects are coming up? Social events, get all of those things out on the calendar. So of course this is going to make your lives easier if you have all these things plotted out, but the true value of this exercise is in modeling and showing your child how to do time management, how to be successful with prioritizing and lining up their goals for the week. Having said that, I want you to anticipate procrastination. So you may do a lot of planning, but teens seem to be predisposed to procrastinating, and maybe one or two of us adults as well. So they are just learning how to manage their time. I want you to be patient with them as you guide them. While this will drive some of the type A parents crazy, resist the urge to micromanage, says my parent. Some ways you can help them and you. Don't try to have a rational conversation about procrastination when your child is in the middle of doing something at the last minute. You may have already been there from time to time. It's pretty frustrating and it gets nobody anywhere. So a day or two later, sit down and discuss the situation. What went wrong? What could you do differently? How will you do it differently next time? What are some things we can plan for now? This is probably the most important one. If you hear nothing else tonight, please hear this one. Do not bail out your child. It is difficult for you to feel the pain of your child's loss in terms of bad grades or missed assignments. But if you bail them out, you will be reinforcing disorganized habits, and you may be up here 3 times a week. The message you're sending if you bail them out is that it doesn't matter if you're organized or not, because it's all going to work out in the end. This is not the message you want to send them. So if you're bailing out, what you're saying is that you are choosing to avoid your own pain rather than take the hit yourself in order to support your child's growth. So, once again, if you walk away with nothing else, do not bail out your child. There will be some bumps. There will be some bruises. But when they learn from this, they will pick up the responsibility themselves and they will move forward through their academic career. So in that vein, you should be encouraging students to communicate with teachers and counselors. This may be a new skill that your child will build. But again, this isn't like middle school. The numbers of kids the teachers see every day is very large, and we are growing adults in high school. So the expectation is that students need to step up and go to them, not wait for them to come to the student. Encourage your student to take advantage of the numerous support opportunities available if he or she is struggling in a subject. These include before and after school time with teachers, National Honor Society-led tutoring sessions, we have a math center and a writing center. And finally, what this parent says, which I really love, the best way to get more effort and therefore better grades out of your student is to reinforce how hard you see them working and recognize their effort, not so much the results. This will encourage them to take more ownership and responsibility of their high school careers, and that will naturally foster better results. And they've done studies that have proved this very thing. They worked with students who were working on something challenging, and if they praised that student for just the product, when they came back, they were not willing to take a higher challenge. They just wanted the praise for product. If they praised the students for effort and brought them back and said, would you like to do the same task or would you like something more challenging? They wanted the thing that was more challenging. So praising effort over results is going to get you and your student a lot farther, and it's a much more pleasant experience as well, I assure you. So I thank this parent for sharing this with you, his wisdom, as he is still walking the 9th grade journey. And you know, he and his son are both making missteps along the way, but they're getting through it and feeling very positive about it. So again, keep in touch with your teachers and your counselors, and we will be glad to help you along the way as well. So, Mrs. Burton? No? You're going to go next?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into the resources. We want you to know that if your student is struggling with any of their classes, they have a lot of options to get support for tutoring at Lakeland. A lot of the options are built right into their school day, and some of the options are after school. But I want to kind of break down those options so you know what's available to your student right away if you see them struggling. So we always tell the students, your first line of defense is your teacher for that class. So if your student is struggling, they're going to want to go see that teacher. The best time to see that teacher is right after school. So Lakeland gets out at 2 o'clock. Most teachers are in their classrooms till at least 3 o'clock. Many of them are there much later. So that's a great opportunity for your student to pop in their classroom and get some extra help. We always tell the kids, you know, mention to the teacher that you're going to show up. It's a great idea if you can give them a heads up and just simply tell them, hey, is it okay if I swing by after school today to get help? Or tell them, are you going to be around on Thursday? That's when I'm planning to come by, and here's what I would like help with. So it can be just that easy. So that's the first option you always want to look at. The second option is seminar. So Lakeland has seminar period every Wednesday. It's 40 minutes that are built into the school day. This is 40 minutes where no instruction is taking place. It's an opportunity for a student to seek out any teacher in the building to go get help. A lot of kids use it if they were absent. They can seek out a teacher to maybe make up a test or a quiz that they missed, get extra help with an assignment, work on a project. So that's every Wednesday. Mrs. Russian had mentioned the Math Center. The Math Center is open 2 days a week, directly after school for an hour. It's staffed by 2 of our math teachers. They're veteran teachers in the building. They've taught every subject there is in math, so your student can walk on in and get help. I've gone by the Math Center many times where I've seen maybe 5 or 6 students in there. So it's a great ratio, 2 teachers to 5 students. They're going to get a lot of support. Another option is our Writing Center. So the Writing Center is housed down in the Media Center. This is peer tutoring. So your student would receive one-on-one tutoring from junior and senior students at Lakeland who are taking advanced placement courses in English. So your student can sign up to get tutoring with anything they need with regard to writing. So I think sometimes students think if they sign up for the Writing Center that it needs to have something to do with their English class. They can go there if they're working on a paper or something for a health class or a social studies class. In any stage of the writing process, they might be in the very early stages just trying to brainstorm a topic. It doesn't matter where they're at with the process. The Writing Center is a great option, and that's available during all lunches. The last option is National Honor Society. So our National Honor Society students will one-on-one tutor your students. It's available different times, so sometimes during lunch, seminar, after school, depending on when your student would like to go. They sign up for any subject area, and then we match them up with a student, again, who is in the National Honor Society and has indicated that that's an area where they feel strong and that they can tutor this student. So we just want you to know that there are so many options available, and you don't have to remember all these things, but your student will want to come see their counselor and just let us know, hey, I'm struggling in this area. Can you remind me, how is it I can get that tutoring you spoke about? So now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Burton.
One of the things that you're going to notice when your kids start high school is that things go a little bit faster here. Marking periods in the middle school are 10 weeks. You get a progress report at 5 weeks. At the point in the time when you get a progress report at 5 weeks, we're wrapping up the first marking period at the high school. We only have 6-week marking periods. So one of the things that you need to be considering strongly are some of the resources and things that have already been discussed here. Kids can use those resources, and what I usually tell my students is to make sure you do the preventative medicine stuff. You don't wait until you don't know what you're doing, but you use resources, you double check that you know things, you go to the tutoring, even if you don't think you really need it, and you go get and ask extra questions of your teachers, get help from them, do those things proactively so that 6-week marking period doesn't come as a huge surprise and you go, oh no, I'm in trouble now. I've never had a grade like this. What do I do? It's something that it's tough for kids to develop at first, but once they do, it's magic. It's a great thing and it really helps them, as a number of our older students will say. Another thing that we strongly suggest is that parents don't go on and check their students' grades without the student present. There's a couple of good reasons for that. One, if the grades are wonderful, you may breathe a sigh of relief and forget to mention to them that, hey, you must be doing a pretty good effort there because it's showing in the grades. I noticed you don't have any missing assignments. Cool, let me know later if there's something else I can do to help you. Well, that's a great thing to say, but if you check and you're just relieved, you may forget. If you have the student sitting there, and we usually suggest at least twice a week, have your student pull up the grades. Then, if the student's doing well, you can say, wow, I guess all that studying you're doing that I've seen you doing is paying off. Good job. Or, doesn't seem like you're bringing a lot home, but it seems like when you are using your time, it must be pretty effective. Tell me what you're doing, and have that conversation with them. The other good thing is if the grades aren't where they should be, the student is sitting there seeing them. As I used to tell my own kids, I don't want to build up a good head of steam and then you walk in the door and I get you the first thing. That's not going to help anybody. It needs to be a problem-solving approach. If you and your student are sitting there together and you're looking at the grades together where they've pulled them up on their Skyward Student Access, then they're able to say, wow, I need to take care of this. Because the first question is, are you happy with these grades? If they're not what you guys think they should be, then how are we going to approach this? What are you going to do, and how do I help you? And sometimes the next question is, can I make some suggestions? Mm-hmm. That's a good way to go with it. But it is best if the kids are always there with you when you are looking up grades. Staying connected, finding out what's going on at Lakeland and in Huron Valley as a whole. There is an enormous amount going on in this district. We've got loads of things. If you've checked our website on any calendar, you're going to see that.
Lakeland itself offers a huge number of things that are available for the kids. You'll see a lot today here at the Expo. If you stay connected, someone asked me earlier about listserv. That's a huge thing here. We send out weekly emails. Mr. Rolando is the voice of Lakeland. He sends out a huge number of things for people so that you know what's going on in our building and that you can be actively participating and help your child to be actively participating, as Mrs. Rushnet had said, so they stay on top of the calendar. We send out a weekly counseling newsletter from our department. Again, that's sent on listserv. All of these things also are posted on the website, but if you get those emails through listserv, it's a great way to go. You sign up through listserv just going to the Huron Valley Schools website. There's a link under Parents for listserv. You can sign up with your email address. And some of the kids have asked, how do I get those messages? They just have to sign up with their own email address. Another thing is the Lakeland website. You can go to the Lakeland website. Anything that we hand to your students, Mr. Doherty's our website master, he posts on the website for counselors. There's other information for other departments, activities, information on teachers with their webpage links. All of that information is listed on our website. Huron Valley Schools TV, it's taping right now for this presentation. Great place to have that clicked on and watching at home to see what's going on in our district. Skyward Grades, I've mentioned. The Message Center. Frequently, you will be receiving things through the Message Center, and sometimes your students will receive those. Those are emails that we send out with information specifically related to an individual group of kids. One of the things that we do is send out information on scholarships for the seniors. So it's something that we use to best serve you, and it is something that we hope is not intrusive, but will keep you informed. And the last is to stay in touch, to email teachers if you need something. We do ask that you keep the emails short so that they can respond simply, and just give them an opportunity to know what your interest or concern is. If your child has an interest or concern, maybe they haven't had an opportunity to see the teacher during the day, then they can email their teachers. I know we talked to our kids at the presentations and said, if you want to know about something, if you want to know, then you email me. If your parents want to know, then they email me, and we'll communicate. A couple of my kids I know have already been doing that. And lastly, when we were talking about being connected, is the Tech Savvy presentation that we're going to have. We have someone from the state of Michigan, Department of Child Safety. She's the attorney who oversees a lot of the things in the state of Michigan and knows the behaviors of people that might not have your kids safe online. I think about when they were first learning about crossing the street. Initially, you stood with them. Then you kept a really close eye, and if they weren't doing what you wanted, you kind of said, hey, you're not looking both ways. Then later on, you got a little more confident, but you still paid attention. And pretty soon, they were doing those things on your own. Technology is a lot like crossing the street. These kids are teenagers, and they're young, and they may not be aware of the same kinds of things that you are. So maybe they're all into this stuff on their own, but you still want to keep an eye. And one of the reasons for the presentation is to help you know ways that you can keep an eye on things, keep your kids safe, but still allow them that freedom and safety to start crossing the street on their own. I'm going to be closing in just a moment and introducing Mr. Gamalin, our principal. He's great, by the way, just in case you didn't already know that. And to continue with the evening. I do want to say, though, thank you to Blazing Bagels. There's some bagels and coffee out there, and that's courtesy of Blazing Bagels. They actually sponsor our little coffee talk thing here, and it's a good place to be. And again, folks, thank you for joining us for Coffee Talk.
Thank you to Blazing Bagels for providing coffee and bagels for tonight's live audience.